impact will ripple through, and we need to ensure that we had alignment on all points.
So speaking of that, what would you say are the goals that you identified in moving to this program?
So we set a target on a financial. Speaking on financials, we set a freight allowance target we wanted to attain versus true cost of transport. And operationally, we want to attain as close to as 100% control of all of our inbound freight to not just our Tim Horton distribution centers, but our third-party distributors as well. And we identified that this would have to be a long-term commitment to make this work.
All right, now the tough question. You told us, what your goals were. What kind of efficiencies did you actually achieve?
Well, prior to going live, let's say January of this year, we managed close to 15% of total inbound across our supply chain. And again, going back to what I previously stated, we want to attain as close to 100% control of inbound freight throughout the entire supply chain today. The financial targets have been outlined as it relates to the revenue obtained through freight allowance. And the inbound project as a long-term commitment for the organization, we need to continue to look at solutions that best fit our business model to ensure viability and sustainability within the group.
Now, as we mentioned earlier, a considerable size of project here, a fairly wide scope, and also keeping in mind what a successful company that Tim Hortons is. Tell me, how does this fit in with TDL's core business?
Well, not just on the financial side, but we identified that there are a number of opportunities that we could obtain backhauls through our own TDL fleet, and improve load and equipment utilization in that aspect as well. And something that we really wanted to concentrate on, and where Nulogx really helped us out, is on the co-loading piece with vendors, where you have multiple vendor shipments on one trailer, whereas in the past we weren't capacitating our trailers on cube or weight, and Nulogx has been able to help us to attain what our efficiencies with regards to load capacity.
I'm sure at a time when there's a great focus on reducing costs, that very last part that you mentioned must have been key.
Well, key to the point, absolutely, because the revenue that's driven from this program it's rolled up and it's shared with our restaurant owners, not just as TDL as an organization. So we share the benefits of the rewards, so to speak, with the restaurant owners, and they feel that they have the buy-in with the happenings of the business, and that's why we attribute to our success, because it's a joint partnership between TDL as an organization and our Tim Hortons restaurant owners. TDL's operational success has always been measured against scorecarding and targets. Inbound project is another example of how, as we as an organization, are always striving to raise the bar, if you will, on all applications of the business.
Now, looking at your case study, another important decision that was made in implementing this is that you decided to outsource this program. Can you tell me the reasons why?
Well, first and foremost, the magnitude of the volume of inbound that we're talking and dealing with here, it's just a little bit too overwhelming for us to basically pick up and go with. So we really identified that we needed assistance with a group such as Nulogx to come in and sort of point us in the right direction. A number of other factors that come into play. The reality is we don't have the headcount to march on with this right at the get-go, or a TMS initiated internally to sort of monitor and track our shipments. We realized all of our resources were busy with other projects. We did not have the bandwidth and expertise available to take on a project of this magnitude. So again, we looked to Nulogx for assistance.
Okay. Rich, we spoke about efficiencies gained a little earlier on. Taking an overall look now, how would you say this whole program has been for TDL?
Overall, you know what? It's been interesting. It's been exciting, and it's opened up a lot of eyes within the organization, not just on a replenishment or procurement piece, but internally with our strategic sourcing group that involves our buyers. Financially, we set a target at the onset of the year as where we felt we would be close to reaching an attainable goal with regards to revenue and allowance. That's been the highlight, if you will. But operationally, I think and feel that we've gained a lot of benefit by kind of looking at the real opportunities that have been that we've been able to identify with Nulogx, the way we report our cost of goods, and this project will allow us to basically conduct a self audit within our own organization, if you will. Costing data is shared between 4 departments, and this has essentially allowed us to audit our processes and at the same time the pricing input into our organization reporting systems such as SAP.
Sounds like the program, Rich, worked very well for you guys. I would like to ask you now to just step outside TDL for a moment and think of other companies. How would another company determine if such a program is right for them? What would be your advice?
First and foremost, you really need to take a step back and think outside the box and basically take a good look at what you have currently on deck or on board with your program, your inbound program. Again, probably look at you need to critically assess your potential efficiencies and also your inefficiencies as well.
Doug, I'd like to bring you into the conversation again. We've heard from Rich how they implemented this program and the success that they've had with it. Now, I'd like to ask you, from your point of view, what's the best way to get started in such a program?
Well, the biggest successes have been the organizations that have determined what their goals were. And then once they determined what those goals were, working on a detailed plan. What are you looking to achieve from your inbound program? What is the scope? And probably most importantly is realistic goals, attainable goals. And then ask yourself what resources are available, what human resources, what system resources, are they in place, and are you capable of taking on this type of project? Data. What do you have for data? What do you not have for data? And how are you going to get it? And then probably finally and most importantly is, do you have executive buy-in?
If I can just touch on that one point a little bit more in getting executive buy-in, because that's such an important point when it comes to supply chain, getting them to understand why certain things are important. Is there any one thing, or perhaps even 2 or 3 things, that if you were a supply chain manager, you would want to make sure that the executive understood about a program like this?
Well, I think there are a number of points, and it's not any one. Obviously, as an executive, you want to be able to drive financial dollars to the bottom line. But going beyond that, I think it's important that the entire executive team understands the dynamic and how this is going to go across different parts of the organization, and how critical the communication is right from the top down, and people understanding that it's a staged process. And communication is absolutely critical.
Now, Richard, you look like you had something to add to that.
Well, in addition to what Doug's mentioned, it's also important to understand your vendor relationship and what role they play within your organization. You need to understand what the potential savings in both hard and soft dollars are, and you need to determine what sort of organization support your need in way of purchasing, distribution centers, etc.
So from your experience with this program, Rich,